You know, the women with effortless digestion, the ones who eat the bread, order the coffee, travel anywhere, and just never seem to think about their gut? They're not doing anything sexy. There's no fancy supplement stack, no cleanse, no prescription. They just do a handful of boring things that most people skip. So today, I'm going to give you 8 of them, 8 habits that do more for your digestion than any laxative or quick TikTok bloat remedy. And the last one is one that we do with every single client that works with us one-on-one because so often it can show us the blind spots they don't even know they have when it comes to their digestion. In case we haven't met yet, my name's Heather. I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. I specialize in gut health. I work with a lot of women and men who have tried every gut product that comes across their feed and they still feel stuck. So today we're skipping the fancy stuff and doing the boring things that actually work to create a solid foundation for anyone struggling with inconsistent, unpredictable digestion. So I already hinted at this, but none of this is going to be super exciting, and that's why most people scroll right past these solutions, looking for the magic pill instead. But if you aren't doing these things, no amount of fancy supplements, pills, or diets are going to fix your poor digestion because these are foundational. You have to nail these things before you can graduate to the next level if you want to see any results. So let's get into it. Habit number 1 of women with effortless digestion is they eat at roughly the same time every single day. That means 3 square meals per day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it's so simple, but following that cadence trains your gut's rhythm and your body starts to anticipate food and know when to produce digestive enzymes and things like that. But another part of this is that if you eat at wildly different times each day, the food moves through at wildly different times too, because the time it takes for food to pass through a healthy gut with optimal transit speed is around 16 to 24 hours. Let alone someone who has slow transit, which is literally every client that I work with. So, even if you just think about that 16 to 24 hours, if you eat at different times each day, the timing of the food exiting your body will vary too. And it makes total sense, right? So eating at random times each day causes unpredictable, all over the place bowel movements, and we don't want that for you. You don't have to be militant about this, but eating 3 balanced meals per day at roughly the same times each day is so good for training your gut to expect that and to digest accordingly. Okay, second habit of women with effortless digestion is walking. That's it. They move their bodies every day and especially after meals. There's this cute quote that I love. It's an early morning stroll is good for people on the whole. It makes your appetite improve. It also helps your bowels move by Roald Dahl. So how much should we be walking? And I think the answer to that is going to vary, of course. I would suggest to aim for 5,000 to 10,000 steps per day. I think a lot of influencers, fitness influencers suggest 10,000, 12,000. I just personally can't even attain that, let alone try and recommend it to you guys. So I don't think that you have to be walking 10 or 12,000 steps a day to have decent digestion, but you do need to be moving. And I think frequency is honestly more important than distance. So I love a quick 10-minute blood sugar balancing type of walk after meals, just getting up periodically throughout the day, because I know a lot of us work from home and it can be really tempting to just take little breaks from the couch and pick up Instagram and scroll a little bit to reset your nervous system from working all day. What about just putting the phone down and going outside for a 10-minute walk after each meal? That would be a great way to keep things flowing, if you know what I mean. Again, it's so simple, but if you move, your bowels move much better too. Third, women with effortless digestion don't snack. Meals, yes, but grazing all day, not so much. So your gut has a cleanup wave. The migrating motor complex is what it's called, and it only runs when you're not eating. So when your stomach is totally empty, it can start to activate. Every time you eat something with calories in it, it stops that process. It basically is like your gut has all these different stages and it's trying to digest the food through the stages. And then when you eat food, it goes back up to the beginning and it kind of abandons what was lower down. That's how I think about it, at least. Sadly, this includes almond milk lattes, the handful of almonds, the creatine gummies. Your gut really counts all of that as eating. So it's going to stop the migrating motor complex from happening. And for some people, just closing the kitchen between meals gives them epic bowel movements without changing a single other thing. So trust me, if you haven't tried this yet, give it a shot. The fourth thing that women with effortless digestion do is they actually hydrate. So that means drinking plain water throughout the day, not 4 coffees and a wine. Don't shoot the messenger, but those don't count as water, really. So what counts is half your body weight in ounces, So if you're a 140-pound woman, you want to be shooting for about 70 ounces of plain water per day. Ideally, it's water that has minerals in it, so it's not purified or distilled water that have the minerals removed, but it's something more like a spring water. So spring water has been my favorite since I started posting content in 2019. I've always said that. I've always been a huge fan of the website findaspring.org because you can go there and put in your zip code and find a spring. I can't vouch for all of these sources. I can just say that's how I found my local spring in Carlsbad. So I go up there about once a month and fill up jugs of water for my dog and I. I also water my plants with it. I'm just a huge fan. Everyone that I introduce it to falls in love with it. And, now all my friends are drinking the spring water from Carlsbad as well. So people have always told me that it makes a huge difference. I notice a huge difference. And if you are lucky enough to find a spring local to you where you can do something like that, amazing. If you're in San Diego, amazing. We have one right here. And if not, just work with what you have, but try to avoid those waters that have no minerals left in them, which are purified and distilled. Or if you're, doing something like that, or even RO water, can be a little bit stripped of minerals. You can always add minerals back into it, but that's a whole other topic. I could probably do a whole episode on water. Let me know in the comments if you would like that. But we are about halfway through the episode, and I hope you're catching the pattern here that none of this is fancy or exciting. Like, none of this is something that you can throw money at. It's really boring foundational stuff that a lot of us need reminders to actually do. And I want to ask you an honest question. The 4 that we went over already, how many of them could you probably be better about? All right, so moving on, the 5th habit of women with effortless digestion is that they don't hold it. So when their body says go, they go. If you override the urge to go enough times, you might notice that your body stops sending the signals to go as clearly and you get a little bit backed up. So I know sometimes this can happen if you're, dating someone and you're afraid to poop at your boyfriend's house, for example. You might hold it to a point where even when you're away from him, you can't go and it kind of messes you up for a couple of days. I've heard women talk about this. So holding it to stay cute is wrecking your rhythm. So don't do that. If he really loves you, he's going to think that everything you do is adorable, honestly, I promise. And more likely, he won't even notice or care. The next thing that women with effortless digestion do is that they sleep. This one surprises people because your bowel rhythm is tied to your sleep more than you'd think. Like, some people get constipated purely from not sleeping enough. Poor sleep tonight can mess with your morning poop tomorrow. And an Oura ring is actually a great way to check in if you think that your sleep is fine, but you're not really sure, or to catch what's actually hurting your sleep. Like, late night eating ruins my sleep personally. And I only learned that because of my Oura ring. A go-to practice that I have before bed is actually drinking chamomile tea every single night. And I've gotten a lot of my friends and family hooked on this too. Like, when I'm with my family, my dad does this every single night with me. We drink chamomile tea together. Super nice ritual. I have actually a little group chat with a couple of my friends where we text each other at night a photo of like the tea that we're drinking before bed. So that's pretty fun, but it does 3 things at once. It makes me sleepy, so I'm not up all night scrolling, and it gets me to bed on time. And honestly, when your gut's off the next day, it can often be tied back to some combo of late night eating, staying up too late, or bad sleeps. Not always. These are not obviously the only causes of poor digestion, but I would say oftentimes these can be involved when someone is having a really off gut day. When we look back at the night before, there can be disruptions in sleep and eating patterns and things like that. It's really low-hanging fruit, but it can make a huge impact. So chamomile tea plus strict bedtime hygiene handles all of these issues beautifully, and I'm just a huge fan in general. It is also an antihistamine, so sometimes histamine can wake us up in the night. So just so many benefits there for the gut issue girlies. Moving on to number 7 is toilet posture. So how you sit matters way more than you'd think. You can Google toilet posture, but the idea is that sitting upright kind of kinks things, and leaning forward with your knees a little bit lifted opens things up in the right way. A squatty potty can be helpful for creating this form, although honestly, I've never owned one, and you don't necessarily need one. So if you look up the posture, you can kind of like lift your heels up and lean forward a bit, and it's better than sitting like completely upright. Or you can grab a little stool from, in your house or something like that. It's another cheap or free, unsexy thing that simply works. And finally, the 8th habit of women with effortless digestion is that they track their food. So at least once, I really encourage everyone to do this. Fiber especially, but also protein, calories, micronutrients. And the reason why is that so many things impact your gut: magnesium, potassium, thiamine, which is vitamin B1, your fats, your protein, your calories. Like overdoing calories or underdoing it, both are problematic. Fiber, you can overdo it, you can underdo it. There are so many factors here. When it comes to fiber specifically, the recommended intake is about 25 grams a day for women and 38 grams a day for men. But honestly, I think most of us should be aiming for closer to 40 grams a day. And we want variety. So not just 40 grams of fiber a day from avocados only or something like that. I know people that do things like that on, keto, but we want really a wide range of plant fibers to total up to that total amount per day. So getting it from different plants so that we can be feeding different bacteria in our gut microbiome. You only have to track once, honestly, for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, whatever it takes for you to really be like, okay, I understand where my blind spots are. And once you do, then you can kind of work on that. Like it's a training exercise to find your blind spots. And it can be so helpful. And like, think about it. Wouldn't it make sense that you feel terrible on 3,000 calories a day? 50% of them are coming from fat, or you're eating 1,000 calories a day and you're not getting enough magnesium or thiamine to support your motility. This is exactly where a nutritionist eye can be so helpful. And it's what we do with every single gut client inside of our Gut Health Glow Up program. It's not the only thing we do, but it's something we do with every client just to make sure that we know that they are hitting the right intakes of all of these factors that are really important for gut health. And here's what all 8 of these replace. They replace the quick fixes, the laxatives, the prescriptions. None of these habits are exciting or something that you buy. That was the whole point of this episode, was to cover some of the important foundations that you might be missing or that could be derailing all of the fancy supplements and diet changes that you're doing. Effortless digestion is rooted in boring foundational habits. I'm sorry to tell you. And if you've been doing all of the foundations and your digestion still isn't where you want it to be, there could be more going on. And that's where functional lab testing and a customized protocol really shines. That's what we help people with one-on-one. So our Gut Health Glow Up program is designed to help you dive deeper into what's actually happening inside your microbiome so that we can help you eat, dress, and live with freedom again. If you're interested in working together, DM me podcast on Instagram at Detox Heather or follow the link down in the description. And if you want more quick tips, I have a few free guides available, which I'll link below. My goal is to make more of these, but for now, I'll just keep a link down there with what I have. And that will also add you to my newsletter so you get notified if I do make any more free tools, or when I launch things, when I put out new podcast episodes, all that stuff. And if you found this episode helpful, liking it or reviewing it, or starring it, depending on what platform you're watching or listening from, will encourage the platform to share it and put it out there to more people that are searching for this kind of info. So you can support the channel anytime and help other people find the help that they need that way as well. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.